So my name is Armin Eden. I'll just show you one of the modules which we are using at the agency where I'm working right now internally. Unfortunately, it's still in Silver Stripes 3 module, but we'll upgrade it to 4, and then we'll be happy to share it with you. Just a question: how many of you like to work with YAML files? How many hate YAML files? Yeah, then this is definitely nothing for you. Some years ago, at least for us in the Silver Stripe development, it's quite often we set up a new site, and then you set up all the pages, the data objects, and then the site extensions, and it's quite repetitive. And quite often, at least in the past, we did then something like we copied from one file to the other, then we find out, yeah, well, the variable name is not good, and stuff, all that stuff like that. And some years ago, Uncle Cheese had a module called Silversmith, which was basically a CLI interface to, for example, create your classes for data objects, sites, and stuff like that. We think this is a really great idea, but actually we love YAML files. So what we did was we started to develop basically a tool which create from a YAML file your PHP files. Just to give you, just to show it to you how this could look like, and actually, oh, it's really small. Can you read that? Yeah. This is not the YAML file. You probably already saw it. So basically what we do is we set up a YAML file with our module. Within the YAML file we have the section site tree, the section data object, and then a section extension. And then within that site tree you can just start to basically write your pages. We have a pattern which we work for, a holder, we name it holder the page, we name it page, data object we quite often tend to name it entry. And then, yeah, once you get used to it, it's quite easy to read. So we have here, I stick to this superhero theme, which was quite popular during the conference. So we have there, let's say, a holder. Then you can define this single name for it. You can define the children which are allowed if you have a superhero holder. And then you can define fields. There we have the typical stuff. You can say which type it is, if it's varchar text, HTML text, drop-down, whatsoever. You can give it a label, you can give it a length, and then you can, for example, define the superhero page. Again, you can define singular plural name, you can hide fields, which is quite often important as we normally never use a content field, for example. Again, we have then here the configuration of some fields, for example, here the image, where we say it has one connection with the class, with the type image. We give it a label, and we even set the folder name, so if you upload an image, that it automatically under superhero images. Of course, we also have connections to own created data objects, and this is something which could look like that. Let's say a superhero has events where he fights against a monster, then let's say we have a data object called event entry. Maybe we just take a small look at it. It's quite simple. We, as a superhero, can have many events or event entries. We sort it, and then it has a varchar text and other fields. And here we say it has many connections, and we say it's a grid field. And for example, here we are using, I think it's from Bumzack, the plugin sortable grid field. We even allow there some configuration for it so that we can reorder the rows. When we are done with all the objects and maybe also extensions, what we do is we have a task job, which basically parses the YAML file, creates the PHP files, and afterwards we do a dev build, and then we have our database. So luckily I prepared it today because my notebook, I think, just crashed. And let's just have a look at the generated code. So this is our superhero page, and I guess most of the things here, you probably know. Just to mention here, we have here some special characters. Within this part, you should not change anything because as soon as you do dev build, we'll override it. But in the other parts, you can basically do what you want. So we have here the definition. A superhero page has one image, has many event entries, has, for example, a title. We then have the get generated CMS fields, which our task creates, basically. Which adds the fields. For an image field, for example, it also sets already the allowed extensions and our folder name, which we defined. If the file is not there, then during the file creation, it will also already create the get CMS fields, which just get our generated CMS fields. And if we want to change anything because we want to have some magic in there, we could then here just override the fields and would probably write the controller. As you can see, this is still, so we started with development for that, I think, under Silverstripe 3.1, so it's still controller in the file. And then, of course, you could also, for example, for a data object, we have there options that you can directly create the model admin for that. If the model admin just takes care of one data object. If you want to take care of more than one data object, right now it does not allow it. And then in the back end, it's the usual stuff, because as you see, this is typical Silverstripe code, which you probably all know quite well. Actually, this is all I wanted to share. So we are starting development for Silverstripe 4 quite soon. We are a little bit late with that. Then when we have a more or less stable version, we're happy to share it with you.